Hello everyone, this is Alex, and today we are looking at some orchestration. We are doing some orchestration by subtraction, and this particular approach of orchestration is something I've been doing for a long time. It's a way to get rid of everything that's unnecessary in your orchestration. We always tend to put too much at first, and it's not that it's not okay to have a very dense orchestration. A lot of composers do. When you think of Wagner, it's a very dense orchestration. There's a lot of doublings and it creates this very heavy sound. But there are other composers like Claude Debussy, who's been looking at this approach of Wagner and saying, I want to do something simpler. But when you listen to Debussy's music, you realize also the orchestration is very dense, but everything is there for a reason. And that's what's interesting with this approach, and that's what I'm going to try to show you today with this example. So I'm starting with this piano part here. It's a simple 6-bar melody. It's in forte as well, so it's going to be something with a large orchestra and a lot of sounds. But we want to make sure that every sound is there, every instrument is there, contributing to the orchestral mass and not adding too much, right? So this idea of subtraction, we start with this. We'll maybe listen to this at first. So from there, the first thing I'm going to do is try to write this for the string orchestra. If it's going to be a tutti, which it is going to be, then we need to do the string orchestra first to have a great idea of where we're going with this. So if we see the melody, at first we got 3 bars of this. This is probably going to be the first violin, and then first and second violin here in octaves, going back to just the one violin here to end. Here we got 3 lines, so we got maybe violin 2, viola, and cello down here. And then we might just add the double bass around here probably for these 3 notes here. So let's see what I came up with for the string orchestra. So here it is. Basically, all the notes from the piano are distributed throughout the string orchestra. And that's a first basic way to orchestrate. There may be some places like here, there's not the E. This E here is not in here. I decided to take it off because I sent it actually to the second violin to just avoid having too much of a gap here between the B and the G sharp. This kind of distance between the notes on the piano sounds okay, but when you transpose it to the strings, you kind of want to generally send more notes in the upper register like so. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. And this is a great starting guide to improve our orchestration and to at least know where are the important elements in this piano part, original piano part. So let's listen to just these violin first. And now let's go see what I did with the rest of the orchestra with this specific version. So let's say what I did with the woodwinds first. So this is just a focus view on the woodwinds and the strings for this specific version. So you see the bassoon starts with the cello here, pretty much doing all the low notes. And then we got the oboe doubling the melody around here. It's a great register for the oboe, and it's the fact that I'm using the double reed below for the bass line. I thought it might be cool to double this melody with the oboe. So we got 2 pairs of double reeds, and then to only have the flutes come in around here when my melody reach its climax around here. So you see I'm adding an octave up over the oboe just to bring a lot more light to the sound around here. Adding as well the piccolo at the same pitch. This is the same pitch of the flute. It sounds an octave higher than written, so it just adds some more density to this line basically. And after that, there's a diminuendo at the end, and I thought I'd leave the woodwinds up until the end of this, just to have this very dense texture to keep what we add at the beginning. And this is also linked to the choices I made with the brasses, which I will show you right now. Now we get the brasses here. I'm basically doing what I'm doing with the flute here is to add most of the brasses around here to contribute to this whole climax and to really have all the brasses on the fourth bar here, for fourth measure. And most of the notes are the same from here. Sometimes doubling, adding some notes. This is F sharp. I think it's doubling this oboe line here, which wasn't there in the original, but it creates this little friction between the F sharp and the E on this D major chord. But other than that, if we look at the trombones, they're pretty much doing the same thing. Then both the viola and the cello and the double bass. The trumpets are doing these notes from the second violin. The first trumpet is doing the melody here at the octave. And the horns are doing this is mostly the second violin part, and this is mostly the viola part. So again, doubling. We're doing this first version as it's like an orchestral tutti, and you'll see that it's very dense. And in my later version, I will try to subtract some sounds from this, but we'll do that in just a second. And finally, we have all the percussion. So I'm talking about the timpani, suspended cymbal, glockenspiel, and then the harp to add some glissando lines around here and to punctuate the last chord as well. So you see that I'm not doing all of these crescendo and rolls all at the same time. They're all coming in one after the other. Most people would just copy this and do a glissando for this here. But I like to have these rolls and these these crescendo effect to come one after the other, just to create a little bit more complexity in the arrangement. So let's listen to this full tutti section and see how it sounds. So it's a good orchestration already. I mean, we could just leave it like that and use it for our piece, but this is maybe the most obvious way to orchestrate it. Just doing doublings, bringing these doublings at the right time, like here, just before the high moment of this melody, and to have even through the whole forte segment, to have an even more accentuated moments like the fourth bar here. But basically here it's just doublings, right? What if we want to do something that is more creative and something maybe a little bit more virtuoso? Maybe you're wondering, how can we do that? I mean, all the music is there. Well, I'll show you here how to be a little bit more free from the music material, the original music material. Okay, so this is my third version. So I'll show you the woodwinds are basically the same. The brass is a little bit different, and I'll show you why. And we go down and there's no strings anymore. So I took off the strings, and actually I wanted to subtract the strings from the arrangement to have them be free to do something else. So when you do that, you just want to make sure that all the lines from this is the other version. You just want to make sure that all the lines are still there in the rest of the orchestra. So if we compare this to the brasses and the woodwinds, I'm thinking about the brasses a little bit more because they basically have all the notes, except at the beginning here. They basically all have all the notes from from the strings. So this is what I did in this new version here. I just added some notes at the beginning that weren't there, and I maybe changed one or two notes from the previous version, but we have everything in our arrangement from the original piano part that is in our brasses. And you might wonder why I decided to use the brasses for to focus all of my music into. Well, it's a loud segment, so I thought the brasses would be good to keep this kind of energy and to for us to hear this original piano part, which is more or less kind of a chorale with long notes. So the brasses are great for this. And I just left the four horns and one trumpet at the end for the final chord. So I thought this would keep my general crescendo, but also have all of these notes being heard and obvious. But now if we keep subtracting to free up our some instruments, well, we have our woodwinds here, which are now doing also doublings, and they are not adding so much to this brass version. So I double check and I just wanted to make sure that all of my notes were there and I was not taking anything off. So this is my other version. There's no woodwinds. I freed up my woodwinds. There's not much I changed here, actually. Most of the job I did by putting all of my remaining notes from the strings in my brasses made this possible for my woodwinds to just take all notes out. There was maybe this high piccolo line that I was forfeiting, but we might find a way to put it back in this in the final version. Okay, now so I subtracted all of my woodwinds. I still got only for my brass section the essence of the original piano part. And notice that I left all of my percussions as well, so this stays. And yeah, I started from this to create my new version. Let's listen to just these brass and percussions for this music. It doesn't sound so bad, right? It could be just, in the middle of a symphony, just a brass and percussion part to give a break for the strings and the woodwinds. This happens a lot of times. There's a lot of brass chorale in Mahler's music. We could just do like Mahler here. We subtracted everything that wasn't necessary, that maybe add this big density to the sound, which again was not bad, it's just to give us other possibilities. So now for this final version, I wanted to do something a little bit more crazy. I was thinking that these like long notes, pa, 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 they could be there in the brasses, but we could have the strings and the woodwinds do something that would make the sound shimmer a little bit more, like some a little bit faster movements, like arpeggio things, that would just add a little bit more orchestral fabric to the sound. And this is what I did. I went a little bit crazy here, and I added lots of notes. You see in the strings, we got like a variation between triplets and 30-second notes. We got some added little trills in the cello. So at first it seems like a pattern that is repeated with the different notes from the piano chord. And then here it's moving a little bit, going through a little bit longer notes for this climax here, and going back to these short notes that are a little bit more not predictable at the end. So you'll see what it creates now. Let's just listen to the strings first. So you see that the music now is quite different, and you see these arpeggio, they really go from one player to the other. Individually, it's easy to play da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum. They couldn't do like the whole thing da 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 da. It would be a little bit too hard for like just one violin, and especially some of these notes they cannot be played by the second or the first violin. So it's great to have this kind of a separation of rhythmic patterns throughout the string orchestra. Also, all of these arpeggiated notes are from the chords here. If you see really well, these are all the notes from here. You see even the A sharp here. I changed note from this arpeggios just so that we don't get like C sharp and A sharp at the same time. I'm just trying to be careful not to disturb this register which is originally left for the melody here. But still it goes up over the melody to create this new texture. We have an alternation between pizzicatos and trills as well. We have a trills which is not in the original piano part, making us hear this F sharp, which I think adds a little bit of a nice color to the sound here. And then again, the same thing. And around here we have this pickup quintuplet here that goes to this IE, which is the highest note of this melody, and this is all doubled. This IE is actually an octave higher than the piano version here to create a lot of light in the sound. And here just long notes. Long notes here is fine, except for the second violin. And actually, long notes like this will help to have this this sense of forte. Just because here it's quite difficult to play. It's a little bit more difficult to play. It's not so difficult, but still, since there's so many musicians on these, the sound will be a little bit more random. So now here, when they go onto these long notes, then we will hear the strength of the whole section playing together. It's not bad to have these kind of effects in the string orchestra. It's actually a very useful tool if you want something a little bit more volatile and unpredictable. So yeah, and towards the end here, I added kind of little cadence or a little gesture punctuation right at the end. If we can just listen to this. We could even like do a little rubato at the end if we like. So this is my new string version, which is already adding up a lot to the sound. We'll go back to listening to this once we see what I did with the woodwinds. So the brasses are exactly the same. So here are my woodwinds. The woodwinds are doing something else as well, something very different. But they're complementary to the strings. If we try to focus on just the woodwinds and the strings, see that the bassoon is starting this here, and it's a little bit different than what we have here. We have some 8 notes on the clarinets, which is actually joining these notes here at the octave to add some definition to these entries, to this entrance. And then the violin here is doing the same as the flute, but with different intervals. Then the oboe is coming in on the 3rd beat here with a little pickup. And this is actually diatonic, so it wasn't there before in the violin. So this is new. I'm adding some more stuff in the arrangement here. And I wanted to have a little group of woodwinds to do this dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. To me, it's like a sort of like flickering, and you'll hear what I mean when we listen to it. And this is repeated here. It's 2 time again, same as the strings. It's 2 time the same thing, but with the different chords and different intervals. And then on the 3rd bar here, the 3rd beat and the 4th beat, the woodwinds are joining more or less the strings, doubling this quintuplet line. And here they're playing suddenly together, like the strings are playing together here with these long notes. I wanted the woodwinds to come together at this moment. This is very effective when you want to highlight a certain measure in your arrangement. You have maybe this more volatile three measures, and suddenly it comes together and people are playing together. And then this effect, dissolves into going back to something a little bit more unpredictable for the piano part here at the end. Let's just listen to the woodwinds here. And you see also at the end, I got this little cadence here, and this is actually responding to the strings. This is what we call antiphony. So you got the strings doing something, and then a response by the woodwinds or the brasses, in that case, the woodwinds. But they do come together on this little ta-da, on this little last cadence. So quite a complex arrangement, we could say. It's very dense. There's a lot of things going. Let's listen to it with everything now. Pretty interesting, right? We got to a whole set of different steps. We gotta finish our arrangement where we all add long notes for every instrument of the orchestra. But you should definitely try this to get to know exactly what is the essential in your arrangement, what is essential in your arrangement and what is not. Instead of just adding stuff, if you want this big orchestral sound, it's a great way to do so and to add some nuance to also this tutti moment where everybody's playing, to add some lines that contribute to the sound, to add moments where they're all playing different things, contributing to this whole sound, and moments where they all play together, like on the climax here, like I showed. So what do you think? Is it something that you've ever considered? Please let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for listening. See you next time for more orchestration.